So why this name Operation Sindoor? Because एक emotional connect मुझे लगता है बहुत strong है इस name के साथ
कि आतंकवाद को बिल्कुल खत्म कर देना है, wipe it from the face of the earth. We have never hit anything in the heartland of Pakistan since 1971. So he did that. अभी तो कुछ देखा नहीं है दुश्मन ने. I think it was I don't know who said it that this is only a trailer. So
Operation Sindoor was launched on 7th of May and we are recording this episode on 17th of May. इस वक्त सीज़फायर है, लेकिन आगे क्या सिनेरियो रहेगा? अगर वॉर होती है तो इंडिया की ग्रोथ स्टोरी पर क्या इम्पैक्ट आएगा? This episode doesn't just decode about the war's circumstances, but it's going to tell us how all the three forces, all our defense forces are united at one level and how they are working for the country. Please welcome Vice Admiral, retired H.S. Malhi, former chairman and managing director of Mazagon Dock Shipbuilders Limited, जहां उन्होंने USD 12 billion के प्रोजेक्ट को लीड किया और 8,000 प्लस एम्प्लॉयज़ के एक मैसिव वर्कफोर्स को हैंडल किया. उनका करियर सिर्फ इंडियन नेवी तक सीमित नहीं रहा. उन्होंने स्टेट ऑफ द आर्ट स्टील्थ फ्रिगेट्स से लेकर $1 बिलियन सबमरीन प्रोजेक्ट्स तक सक्सेसफुली एग्जीक्यूट किया और डिफेंस और कमर्शियल शिप बिल्डिंग दोनों में स्ट्रैटेजिक लीडरशिप दिखाई है. उनकी लीडरशिप ने इंडिया के शिप बिल्डिंग सेक्टर को नए स्टैंडर्ड्स तक पहुंचाया और उनका कंट्रीब्यूशन इंटरनेशनली भी रिकॉग्नाइज किया गया है. So let's welcome him. A very, very warm welcome to H.S. Malhi, sir. And thank you, sir, for coming here.
My honor and privilege. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, सबसे पहला सवाल and the heated question of the day कि ऑपरेशन सिंदूर का क्या ऑब्जेक्टिव था, क्यों शुरू किया और क्या भारत ने ये ऑब्जेक्टिव जो है वो अचीव कर लिया है?
वो तो प्रधानमंत्री ने जब एक स्पीच दी थी इससे पहले, उस वक्त ही उन्होंने स्पष्ट कर दिया था कि आतंकवाद को बिल्कुल खत्म कर देना है, wipe it from the face of the earth. And because of this event, this gruesome event in Pahalgam.
Right.
So I think in a very calibrated, responsible manner, India was able to achieve that objective. पहली जो स्ट्राइक हुई थी 7 मई को,
हाँ जी,
उसी दिन जो टेररिज्म हब्स थे, मेजर हब्स, some of them were situated in the heartland of Pakistan, that is Punjab. Those were hit by the Indian Air Force.
But only the terror areas, मतलब see the
of course, and
responsibility
they were the terror hubs, and he had said that he would destroy them, and he did. Irrespective of the fact कि ये जो हैं पंजाब पाकिस्तान में.
Right, right.
So far, we have never hit anything in the heartland of Pakistan since 1971. So he did that. And we were able to eliminate those hubs. Of course, number of, there have been reports that 100 odd terrorists were killed and all that. But I think more than that was a message.
So वो reports जो उनकी तरफ से आती हैं, तो half of them are fake. More than half, I guess.
See, disinformation is the new aspect of warfare. This is part of warfare. But what is needed are hard facts, evidence that is in form of photos, form of films which are taken, and the press conferences जो हुई थी जहाँ पर DGMOs थे, उन्होंने बहुत स्पष्ट कर दिया था, दिखाकर आपने देखा होगा कि वो बॉम्ब गिर रहे हैं, मिसाइल गिर रहे हैं, and they are getting exploded and the things are being wiped out. So that is quite clear. I think we have learnt our lesson from Balakot.
Yes.
We have learnt our lesson from the Uri strikes.
Right.
That in order to ensure that people don't come up with various narratives.
Yes, actually.
And fake narratives, better to put it out there.
We have done it very responsibly.
And they have seen it. People have seen the films and the photos, and I think it's quite convincing. And we know that they have been hit badly.
Yeah. So why this name, Operation Sindoor? Because एक emotional connect मुझे लगता है बहुत strong है इस name के साथ.
You know, one of the very unique and interesting facets of this particular operation has been the messaging. The messaging has been nearly perfect, starting with Sindoor, Operation Sindoor.
Right.
Overnight, I mean, within a matter of minutes, so many women became widows.
Yes. और उसी का ही
you know, to pick up on that,
right,
and then dub it as Operation Sindoor, I think was a masterstroke. In addition, messaging in form of the press briefings with the Foreign Secretary,
right,
and the two lady officers, one from the Air Force and one from the Army. I think that itself sent a very strong message.
Right.
So I think we have...
It's a message for the strong message for...
Very strong message, not only to our own countrymen, to our enemy, but I think to the entire world.
Right. So now, sir, coming to you. Sir, क्या आपने हमेशा से armed forces join करने का सोचा था? Have you always planned about it?
Yes and no, because I was in a military school.
Okay.
I joined a Sainik school, not very far from here in Karnal.
Okay.
We had farmland near Karnal. We were staying in Karnal, Karnal Cathal. And the school came up in 1961, June of 1961. And obviously all the boys of my age, the age group, सबको ये था कि school खुला है, military school है, and all of us decided that we must go there. All our friends, you know, it was sort of a competition to get in. So we went in there, and also in my family we have had people in the armed forces.
Okay.
And as far as Navy is concerned, I had a uncle of mine who served in the Second World War.
Okay.
In the Royal Indian Navy.
Acha.
And I used to see his photograph.
Okay.
जो होती थी उधर uniform में.
So inspiration.
And I was inspired by that. He was a young sub-lieutenant, and I was quite inspired looking at it every day.
Okay.
Just looking at the uniform. Okay. But the fact that we went to the military school, Sainik school, more or less, I think it was ordained that we would join the armed forces.
Okay. So now if we talk about armed forces, sir, generally हमें ऐसा लगता है जैसे हम देखते हैं कि Navy is being less talked about. ऐसा है क्या? या हमें लगता ही है?
Yeah, I mean, it's a silent service.
It's a silent service.
It's been a silent. It's been called silent service from hundreds of years of the Royal Navy. There's a reason.
Okay.
Why it's less talked about. एक तो ये है कि unlike Army and Air Force, जो कि which are land centric, यहाँ पर आप cantonments देखते हैं, you'll find army trucks moving about and all those things. Navy is always there out at sea.
Okay.
And you won't find much of population there. Many people hanging around looking at the Navy. Our job is to be at sea. And of course, we are three-dimensional in the sea.
Okay.
Below the sea and in the air.
And in the air.
All three. But, and also we are mostly, naturally, we are along the coastline. And not really in the heartland, not in the north.
Right.
Especially north of the Vindhyas. Not many have seen a naval uniform.
बिल्कुल.
अगर कोई naval uniform में किसी को देखेगा सोचेगा कि ये शायद customs का होगा या some other
नहीं आता समझ यहाँ पे. Right.
In fact, I must tell you that when I first came here, it was very difficult to educate people about the naval ranks.
Right.
And there was a seminar where I was, somebody introduced me at the seminar. And he actually said Mr. Admirable HS Malhi. I mean, instead of Admiral. So people are not aware of the ranks. They're not aware of the way naval officer, naval sailors look like. So being far away from this part of the world, one is not seen and heard.
Right. And generally जब wars होते हैं तब भी आर्मी एंड एयरफोर्स का जो रोल है वो जैसे मीडिया भी बहुत हाईलाइटेड रहता है. मीडिया में भी आर्मी एंड एयरफोर्स आर बीइंग हाईलाइटेड. ट्रू?
Yeah, you mean Indian in the Indian context?
Yes, हाँ जी.
Because most of our wars जितने हैं, they've been land centric.
Yes.
You know, we have two fronts where we are deployed.
Right.
Army and army is deployed on both the fronts, China and Pakistan. और नेवी जो है वो तो समुंदर में है on that side. And जो भी wars हुए हैं उस तरह हुए हैं. But Navy is playing its part
own role,
or whatever role that we can come to 24/7, 365 days a year.
That's what
going on,
which is
but not seen and heard.
Which is not seen.
Whether it's peace or at war, both times. But because of the continental mindset, the two fronts, Navy is not really had that prominence.
Right. तो सर जब वॉर होती है all three of them work together in those times also, whether it is a land centric war या नहीं भी है, तो do all three work together in those times and how?
Yes, and it's an extremely good question, especially nowadays. It wasn't true about 30-40 years ago, but lately, since I would say the 80s, there has been synergy between the three services.
Right.
And right now, of course, it's been taken to another level where we are talking of jointmanship, Chief of Defence Staff, all that. पर अभी जो ये है कि जब भी आर्मी या एयरफोर्स जब भी इन्वॉल्व होती है, नेवी का रोल है कि at sea you are guarding our sea lanes, ensuring that the trade doesn't get affected, and at the same time ensuring that you are keeping the enemy cooped up in their ports. I mean, you are right there as a deterrent.
Okay.
Look here, buddy, you do something, you're going to get hit. So entire forces are deployed in that manner.
Okay.
Whether it was Kargil, we have only heard of the army and the air force.
हाँ जी.
Doing a fantastic job, making sure the hills are recaptured, and Air Force moving this side of the LOC and supporting the army. But the Navy at that time was in full force off in the North Arabian Sea off Karachi.
Okay.
And the enemy has to keep one eye out.
Oh, there.
That look here, we do something, the Navy is there. So Navy has always been a deterrent.
So they always work together like this.
Yes.
So merchant navy and Indian navy में क्या difference है? क्योंकि जब हम navy की बात सुनते हैं तो हमें बहुत सारे लोगों को समझ में नहीं आता what exactly is the difference. So can I know that please?
See, I'd like to give a small background, an overview. 90% जो ट्रेड है हमारा वो बाय सी होता है.
Okay.
That includes anything, especially oil, gas, all these kind of things. Now, all those are brought or goes by sea by the merchant marine.
Okay.
So-called merchant navy, mercantile marine, so many words.
Right.
Now, protection of that trade and protecting these sea lanes of communication, they're called in naval parlance SLOCs, SLOCs.
Okay.
Is the job of the Indian Navy.
Okay.
It's like having a convoy of trucks carrying goods to the border.
Right.
But the protection is by the armed forces.
Right.
So it is major differences. The Indian Navy is there to protect the trade, protect the sea lanes of communication of this particular trade which is moving, which is carried out by the merchant navy.
Okay.
The Indian Navy is an arm of the armed forces.
Right.
The armed forces, when we say armed forces, इसका मतलब है तीन हैं, Army, Navy, Air Force. Merchant Marine is not an armed force.
Right.
It is a commercial entity.
Okay.
There is government entity also like SCI, which is PSU, and then there are others, which are privately owned.
Okay.
So ये जो है ये commercial entity है और they are doing. I mean, without the merchant navy, we would not exist.
Okay.
Because
yes,
they are
definitely.
the ones who are taking out or bringing in stuff.
Okay.
And that's how we do our exports and imports.
Okay.
Very little goes by air.
Okay.
Mostly it is by sea.
It is by sea.
90%.
Okay.
So that is the
role of
major difference.
That's the difference.
Mercantile marine carrying out
I
this
think
commercial
that's
enterprise,
understandable.
which
that's
is bringing stuff, bringing oil, items, various things.
जब जंग होती है तो क्या मैटर करता है सर, साइज ऑफ द आर्मी और इक्विपमेंट या फिर मोरल ऑफ द आर्मी?
So all these are important. सभी बहुत महत्वपूर्ण हैं.
जी.
But I would say the human factor, the man behind the machine,
बिल्कुल,
is the most important part.
Right.
और अगर the man behind the machine knows that he's fighting a just and a moral war,
Right.
he will do his best.
Right.
Because he knows he's doing it for the country in a just manner.
Right.
That is the most important part. As far as equipment is concerned, or tactics, there are two other things.
Right.
In a battle, tactics होती हैं और equipment होती है. Equipment has become extremely important.
Very important since last.
In every at every level.
Right.
तो ये equipment तो है ही काफी. But how to use that equipment in what manner?
Okay.
That is what planning is all about.
Right.
And that's what people
and
do
that
at every level.
comes under logistics, sir?
No.
Okay.
First, what I'm talking about is the planning.
Okay.
अगर इंडियन एयरफोर्स ने डिसाइड किया है कि हमने ये टेररिस्ट हब्स को खत्म करना है, कैसे खत्म करना है, what kind of planes should go up, what kind of armament should be on those planes, standoff weapons, or should we go over the LOC, not go over that, of course, is the government decision. But the mix of weaponry, mix of armament, and how to use it, in what manner, the payloads, all these things are very carefully worked out, and that's how you get the results. Logistics is also very important. Logistics means that to have the stuff reaching the armed forces in time,
right,
in enough quantity, sufficient quantity,
and quantities also are being
right time,
decided
right
by
quantity.
Okay.
That means including not only not only ammunition or systems. It also means rations. So that's all logistics, part of logistics. You know, army marches on its stomach, they used to say. So you need all those kind of things together, and it's one big whole entity which comes together to deliver favorable results. One of these cogs, one of these things fail, so it's gone. So it's not that one is more important than the other. They all have to be together in this. And it is the duty of the commanders, and you know, all three services, the duty of the commanders to ensure कि ये जो 3-4 चीजें हैं,
वो सारी
सब synchronized हैं in a synchronous fashion, clockwork fashion.
Right.
They take place.
Right.
So unless that happens, you lost the war.
Right.
But morale
comes at the first.
Absolutely.
First, morale is
Absolutely.
is the leading factor actually.
Leading factor.
And in a country emotionally driven like India, मुझे लगता है कि यहाँ तो morale बहुत ज़्यादा काम करता है. And obviously at the war front as well.
No, see, India, as far as the population, general population is concerned, of course. जैसे अगर आप ये इसका उदाहरण ले अभी जो पहलगाम में हुआ, सभी को there is anger. I mean, of course, you know, and then there is that feeling, that nationalistic feeling that we must take revenge. But sometimes it borders on jingoism, you know, which is also may not be really good. But that is a different thing. I'm talking about the armed forces,
right?
The man behind the machine, the man who's actually holding the rifle, the man who's you know, piloting the plane. the man on the ship.
Right.
Now, they, of course, as I said, morale has to be good, but at the same time, the training, the way they do it, it's all very professional. But when it comes to morale, that means they should believe in what they're doing.
Right.
They believe in the cause.
बिल्कुल.
And it is the duty of the leader, the commander, the captain of the ship, to see that, all these people give off their best when the time comes.
Right.
And that only happens if they know that they are being led by people who will look after them, people who know what they're doing. That the person who's taking them into the harm's way knows what he's doing, and he has the capability to do it.
So the correct cause, I think, उससे भी morale high हो जाता है.
Absolutely.
Behind the scenes से war में क्या होता है? क्योंकि जो हसल बसल हमें टीवी पर दिखाई देती है, उससे कहीं ज़्यादा पीछे preparation होती होगी. So what happens exactly behind the scenes during war?
To be fully prepared for war,
जी.
you must sweat in peace.
बिल्कुल.
All three services. ये नहीं है कि जब जंग होता है तभी हसल बसल होता है. That's not.
क्योंकि ऐसा हमको नजर आता है.
हाँ, वो क्योंकि
नजर आता है.
That's a time they come out.
Right.
And it's publicized. It's all over the news. Media. But all three services, 24/7, 365 days a year, they're training. You see, it's very important that जो भी आपने करना है वॉर में, उसकी ट्रेनिंग जो है इतनी बढ़िया होनी चाहिए कि आंख बंद करके you should be able to do it.
Right.
And that's literally true.
बिल्कुल.
Ordinary, I mean, ये infantryman जो है आंख बंद करके अपनी राइफल को डिसमेंटल करके उसको वापस डाल के फिर से शूट कर सकता है in a given time frame. We should be able to do it. Similarly, even on a ship, in a total blackout on a ship, you should be able to make your way to a certain place, operate the equipment, operate the armament, whatever is required to ensure that the ship keeps moving and fights. So these are kind of things which go on. So training is what you do when there is no war.
Right.
And when the war actually happens, then it becomes
तो तैयारी हो रही होती है पीछे.
वो तैयारी रहती है. वो तैयारी, you are prepared for war.
Okay.
I mean, that's very important. A good professional armed force does that in peacetime.
Okay.
And they're not seen. I mean, but then you also have exercises which are very realistic. You may not actually use live ammo, but you do have exercises which are realistic. You have war games.
Okay.
At a higher level, you have war games. War games mean that you can have a tabletop game where you designate two sides, blue force, red force, and you tell them, okay, आपके पास ये है, आपके पास इतने tanks है, आपके पास इतनी air force है, आप कैसे चलोगे?
Right.
And then you have realistic war games with the enemy. We know what the enemy has, what type of commanders he has. So वो सब जो है उसको एक डेजिग्नेट किया जाता है कमांडर. इस तरफ जो है दूसरा कमांडर. तो फिर वो देखते हैं क्या कुछ होगा, how it will pan out. So these war games go on. So these are kind of things which are which are
not seen. बिल्कुल. So जैसे सर यहाँ पर एक सवाल आ रहा है मुझे कि जो दुश्मन की ताकत का अंदाजा जिसको हम बोलते हैं, वो चीज़ का अंदाजा हम पीस के टाइम में लगा रहे होते हैं. Is that true? कि वो क्योंकि हमें अगर वॉर होती है और हम इस सिचुएशन में आते हैं तो हमारे पास क्या है और उनके पास क्या है, इन सब चीज़ों का जो अंदाज़ा है that is done in peace times?
हाँ, yes.
Okay.
It's very important to know your enemy.
Yes, बिल्कुल. To each and everything. That exercises are also there for...
that again goes on. You have to
ongoing process.
Ongoing process through various means. Technical means, human means.
Right.
To find out what your enemy has, what kind of strength, even what is the morale of the enemy.
Right.
You have various ways and means to assess the force levels also, and also where they stand vis-a-vis your forces. So all that is assessed.
Right.
वो होता है. sometimes that is where misinformation, disinformation comes in.
That is also there.
Fake information goes in. All that cat and mouse games, they go on.
Which we were watching abhi bhi jo chal rahi thi cheezein.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. But then you have to sift through all that noise and filter through the noise and for yourself see what exactly is right.
Right. So, who are our clear allies and who are Pakistan's clear allies? Ekdam clear.
Okay. So now we are going into the realm of geopolitics.
Right.
See, our major advantage जो है हमारे देश का,
हाँ जी,
is that we are one of the largest democracies
right
in this world, the largest liberal democracies in this world. We have a certain standing, as a result of which we have some natural allies who also believe in the world order, rule of law, and we are part of certain formations like Quad, etc., which have been formed recently. So that is one part.
Right.
We have, on the other hand, China and Pakistan, which we all know that we have had differences with them, and Pakistan is our enemy nation.
Right.
China, we have fought wars with them. We have border issues, and both of them are one is of course totalitarian regime. Other one is a half-finished, half-baked so-called democracy. So they have, a pact through which Pakistan has become China's cat's paw.
Okay.
To keep, irritating our country.
Right.
China, through the years, of course, has become one of the major economic and military powers.
Yes.
But at the time, at the point of our confrontation with them, we are equals. That means along the Tibet-India border, along Arunachal, that area, on the entire McMahon line, we are eye to eye, eyeball to eyeball with China.
Right.
And at that particular point, we are equals, we can take them on. This side, as far as Pakistan is concerned, I think less said the better. Our economy has, is almost 10 times what their economy is. The GDP is equal to the GDP of Tamil Nadu.
Exactly.
Tamil Nadu is more than thing.
But still, I just wonder.
It is totally different. So these two are together.
Right.
But we have allied ourselves with democracies such as USA, Japan, Australia, which we have formed the Quad, where the Navy comes in a big way, by the way. I mean, it's not related to this question.
Right.
But the Navy is one of the major factors in this quadrilateral formation. That means in this Indian Ocean area, Navy is the net security provider.
Right.
आप देखिए ये मलाक्का स्ट्रेट है
जी,
ये बे ऑफ बंगाल इस तरफ, और towards the west we have the Red Sea and the Suez Canal, that area. Now these two areas are the choke points. That means जिसने भी अंदर आना है Indian Ocean में, we have to come through that. Especially for China, which is importing most of their oil from Gulf and other places, have to use this particular route around the country, around India, and towards Southeast Asia through Malacca Straits.
Right.
So that becomes a choke point. That means they become extremely vulnerable at that point.
Okay.
Or that's where the Navy comes in.
Okay.
So Navy, as far as the Quad is concerned, is the net security provider. It's a big thing.
Right.
तो जो अभी हम बात कर रहे थे पहले, वो एक ही रोल है, इसके अलावा इंडियन नेवी का काफी बड़ा रोल है. I'll just elaborate on that. Protecting the sea lanes of communication, that was one part which I mentioned. इतना trade आ रहा है और Indian Navy's role is to ensure that the country does not suffer because of trade being blocked. So that is one part. The other is that we have 7,500 kilometers of coastline.
Okay, 7,500
500 meters, kilometers of coastline. Beyond the coastline, जो 12 मील है, 12 nautical miles, that is called territorial waters. That means those waters are under our jurisdiction. जो भी होता है उस 12 किलोमीटर 12 मील में, that is under our jurisdiction.
Okay.
Beyond that is what is called the exclusive economic zone.
Okay.
Which spreads hundreds of kilometers beyond that. So that area in that exclusive economic zone, India has a right to mine the seabed. जो नीचे जो समुद्र के नीचे जो seabed है, वहाँ से हम माइनिंग कर सकते हैं for various kind of minerals and materials.
Right.
समुद्र के नीचे बहुत कुछ है जो हम माइन कर सकते हैं.
Right.
That is exclusively ours. That's almost 270 kilometers beyond the coast.
Okay.
So that is the area which is, as far as India is concerned, is of interest to us.
Right.
Direct interest to us. And who has to protect it? The Indian Navy. कोई चौकीदार तो चाहिए ना.
बिल्कुल.
I mean, somebody has to ensure that
Take care.
somebody, with evil intentions, ill intentions doesn't
come inside.
So वो सब कुछ करना पड़ता है. The other role is, this is sort of a defensive role. Other is called power projection.
Okay.
अभी now we have reached a stage in the last few years कि हम एक रीजनल पावर बन गए हैं. इस रीजन में अगर कुछ भी होता है तो everybody expects, the world expects that this our country should sort it out. मैं आपको सिर्फ उदाहरण देता हूँ मालदीव्स का. 1988 में 1988 मालदीव्स में there was a coup. There was some foreign mercenaries had taken over that place. Now it was Indian Navy which mounted an attack which ensured that coup was sort of put down. And how was that possible? That was because the Indian Navy had the ways and means to project our power beyond our shores.
Right. Right.
सिर्फ इधर ही नहीं, अगर उस तरफ जाना है उधर भी है. So projection, power projection के लिए normally क्या चाहिए? Aircraft carriers.
Right.
So हमारे पास aircraft carrier हैं जिसके ऊपर जहाज होते हैं, the aircraft take off.
Okay.
And each aircraft carrier has large number of ships protecting it. Submarines are there. Aircraft carrier हवाई जहाज हैं.
Right.
तो पूरा जो है armada,
Right.
एयरक्राफ्ट कैरियर ग्रुप जिसको बोलते हैं, वो जब जाता है ओशन में, जब सी में जाता है, इट इज अ चंक ऑफ योर ओन, इट्स ओन इंडियन टेरिटरी जस्ट मूविंग, मूव्स अबाउट 600 miles a day.
600
whole
miles.
Indian sovereign territory is moving. That is yours.
Right.
That is ours.
Right. Right.
So you can project your power through that. आप एक एयरक्राफ्ट कैरियर खड़ा कर दीजिए around these countries, they will come down to their knees. That is the kind of power you project. So हमारे पास दो एयरक्राफ्ट कैरियर ग्रुप हैं जो हम ईस्ट और वेस्ट दोनों तरफ प्रोजेक्ट कर सकते हैं. So that is power projection. अभी जो हुआ है ऑपरेशन सिंदूर में, we had a aircraft carrier group in the North Arabian Sea off Karachi.
Okay.
I believe 38 to 46 ships, I'm not very sure about the numbers, which were there.
Okay.
Which is a huge armada with state of the art weapon systems, which can obliterate a small sized country.
Okay.
That is the kind of power you
we
have. So, though that is power projection.
Okay.
That is your second role. You also have a diplomatic role, which is what we do, and people look at.
Okay.
ये Navy के जो लोग हैं, they go to various countries. Visit
Yeah, actually, sir.
Army, Air Force.
This
you
is
don't
being
get it.
projected more.
So, because during peacetime, you have what are called forward deployments or operational deployment.
Right.
You have a small squadron of ships. Squadron
Okay.
means you can have 3 ships or 4 ships. Sometimes you have a training ship also where cadets are there. And you go to your friendly country
Okay.
and you showcase your ability.
Right.
Because when you go there, you also carry out certain exercises there. They're called passage exercises. Passages. And that way you show your own might. You show the capability of your ships.
Right.
And nowadays, in the last few years, 30, 40 years, we have been sending only indigenous ships made in India.
Okay.
That is another thing I would like to talk about.
Yes, sir.
It is
For sure.
extremely important as far as Navy is concerned. So we are sending our indigenous ships made in India and showcase our ability to construct such state-of-the-art ships. So that is diplomatic. It is the common parlance. It is called showing the flag.
Okay.
You're flying your flag
Right.
and you're showing it.
Okay.
Then you have roles which are more like constabulary, like a police role,
Okay.
which is anti-piracy. We have had, आपने सुना होगा कि इधर रेड सी, उधर सोमालिया
जी
के
सोमालिया, हाँ जी,
pirates
सोमालिया
वगैरह
पायलट्स का
वो आकर
yes,
जहाज को हाईजैक कर लेते
हाँ
हैं
जी.
और
Right.
all kind of problems. तो Indian Navy has been a huge contributor to that force.
Yes.
जो ये coalition है उधर of foreign navies, US Navy है, I think Royal Navy वगैरह कई है, British Navy. तो ये सब जो है उधर concentrated हैं.
Okay.
और हमारे भी 2-3 जहाज उधर रहते हैं.
Right.
So that is anti-piracy. Similarly, closer to the coast, आजकल, 2611.
Yes, sir. बिल्कुल.
So जो आया था वो boat जो आई थी कराची से by sea. Now that became a huge thing.
Yes.
So maritime security जो है, that is the Navy's role. Maritime security of the coast.
Right.
जो हमारा कोस्ट है उधर 3 लेयर्स हैं सिक्योरिटी. बिल्कुल कोस्ट के बाद जो है वो है मैरिटाइम पुलिस. जैसे स्टेट पुलिस है महाराष्ट्र की, उनका एक मैरिटाइम विंग है.
ठीक है.
वो देखते हैं टू अ सर्टन थोड़ा सी में कोई 5-6 मील.
Right.
बियॉन्ड दैट इज कोस्ट गार्ड.
Right. Okay.
और उसके बाद है इंडियन नेवी.
Okay.
बट ओवरऑल मैरिटाइम सिक्योरिटी एडवाइजर is the lead role is played by the Navy.
सर तो ये सर जो 26/11 का हुआ था, तो इसमें कहाँ पर हमसे गलती हुई या क्या रह गई चीज़? Why मतलब?
See, I think the very fact what I'm saying now about our maritime security of the coast,
Right.
I think that was lacking.
That was lacking, but
Yeah.
now things have improved like anything.
Now each and every fishing boat
Yes.
which जो भी जाती है
Okay.
बाहर
जी.
फिशिंग वगैरह के लिए,
जी.
उनके हर एक बोट के ऊपर एक ऑटोमेटिक आइडेंटिफिकेशन सिस्टम होता है. इट्स कॉल्ड AIS which has to be there on every boat. So that जब जाते हैं it can be identified by ये Indian boat है, ठीक है.
We learned from our mistakes
No,
actually.
it wasn't there.
Yes.
Then we have got a network of coastal radars.
Right. Okay.
Radars हैं जो पिकअप कर लेते हैं, facing the sea. कोई आ रहा है ऐसे. So we
After
never
that,
realized
yeah,
that it was,
actually,
and
things
then the role was not very clear. भाई कितना मैरिटाइम पुलिस करेगी, कितना ये कोस्ट गार्ड, कितना नेवी was, see we have a blue water navy, 3-dimensional blue water navy out at sea.
Right.
But we were not, this role
Okay.
of this security has been given to us
Okay.
to now be the lead player
Okay.
for coastal security. So now we are very clear.
Now things have changed.
It's very well defined. There is a maritime security advisor who's a retired naval officer sitting in Delhi. So now they look at all this.
Okay.
So this is constabulary role. Then you have very benign kind of roles like search and rescue, surveillance. You
Okay.
have incident at sea, कोई ship in distress, कोई problem हो गया है,
Okay.
so you
Okay.
go and do it.
So how
When-
do I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. जैसे कोई प्रॉब्लम हो गया अभी आपने कहा कि and then how is that sorted, like because सी के जो wars होते हैं वो किस तरीके से हैंडल किए जाते हैं सर? How do they take place? जो
The war-
सी में या वॉर या फिर कुछ भी ऐसा डिस्टर्बेंस है?
नहीं, see, one was a search and rescue. That is
Search
different
and
thing.
rescue, that is a different thing, right?
अच्छा, the war at sea.
Yeah.
See, that is totally changed from the times of, say, last 40, 50 years. Now you have standoff system, missile systems.
Okay.
You have each ship,
Okay.
जो है ship का armament जो है, I think that will be easy. A frontline ship, frontline means जो part of the fleet जो जाती है बाहर. उसके ऊपर you'll find surface to surface missile. That
Okay.
means which can target another ship. फिर आपके पास surface to air missile होगी,
Okay.
जो कि surface to
Right.
कोई aircraft के पीछे. Then you'll have undersea. That means you'll have rockets which can, try to kill a submarine or something.
Okay.
Then you have huge guns,
Okay.
main guns, which can be used either for supporting army action
Okay.
on the land.
Okay.
Suppose there is a amphibious landing. Suppose अभी आपने land करना है, troops को land करना है shore के ऊपर. So you have ships with guns which will start pounding that area,
Okay.
so that the soften up the target, and then you send it. So those various ways you fight. Then you have your own submarines. I don't want to be too technical. There is a concept of sea control and sea denial. The Navy का role है during war is to control the sea,
Right.
and then the other role is to deny the control of the sea to the enemy.
Okay.
The sea denial role is normally of the submarines.
Okay.
They're down there. The enemy doesn't know वो किधर है.
Huh.
So they will think twice before moving the ships out. So you're denying that particular area to the ships to come in, because they'll get hit. So we did this, during 71 war. I think people are aware
Yes.
how the Navy pounded Karachi, destroyed their oil tanks.
Right.
6-7 ships were, destroyed in that attack. And it was done in a very innovative way with the missile boats. We towed the boats to that area, and they were so small, the target was so small, the radar unko couldn't pick them up.
Okay.
And they went in full speed. They used to go, they went at about 30 knots, fired their salvo, and they were very basic missiles of those days. Osa class
But now
boats,
the things have
Styx missile.
up
They
to 50.
destroyed them, turned around, came. We had to tow them because they didn't have the endurance to reach.
Okay.
They were actually harbor defense boats,
Okay.
but we used them for offensive operations. Even the Russian naval chief, they were Russian, by the way. He was absolutely taken aback, and he said we couldn't have thought of this. So all that thing was done during the 71 war.
71.
Navy gave a good pounding. And during war, because that was the question you were asking,
Yes.
Navy kya karti hai? There is a very important role which Navy plays, and that is blockade of the enemy ports.
Okay.
Blockade is an act of war.
Okay.
If you blockade a port, that is an act of war. That means you're not allowing any ship of the enemy to enter the port.
Enter the port. Okay. Okay.
उनको पहले नोटिस दे देते हैं कि देखिए ये ब्लॉकेड है, आप आएंगे तो आपको will shoot you down. So that way you prevent oil and other things to reach the enemy, and that affects the overall effect. So this during 71 war, we blockaded. In fact, that was the role I played. I was in the
Wow.
we were cadets
We
on the
didn't know
ship
that.
at that time in 71. So even just before the war started, we had already started blockading,
Okay.
ensuring that whatever goes through is stopped.
Stopped.
So that is blockade is a very important
It's
part
very
to
okay.
strangulate
Mm-hmm.
the enemy,
Right.
literally.
Right. Right.
and don't let any essential supplies to reach their front and to reach their population. So that is very important.
Very important role of Navy.
And another very important role, because there are these
Yes,
things where
yes.
people are not aware. I think I'm taking
Yes,
a little bit of
for
time
sure.
here.
Yeah.
Navy is the only force which can more or less survive a nuclear
More or less
fallout,
survive
a
on.
nuclear fallout.
Okay.
You know, when a nuclear bomb is exploded,
Ji.
there is a fallout. You have gases and other things moving out from that 0 point from the epicenter. All our frontline warships have what is called NBCD protection, nuclear, biological, chemical protection, NBC protection. That means you can go through an area, fallout area, and yet operate.
Okay.
That means you can shut down the ship totally, and you have internal circulation.
Okay.
And you are protected from the nuclear fallout, which is a very important thing. That means even after a nuclear fallout, that area, you can still go and strike the enemy. So this is one of the key features of the of the Indian Navy. And the other one is that we are very, very important part of the nuclear triad. Triad means तीन, जैसे त्रिकोण होती है. अभी हमारा जो न्यूक्लियर ओवरऑल हमारा जो है स्ट्रैटेजी जो है, एक तो एयर में है, हवाई जहाज हैं जो न्यूक्लियर बॉम्ब लेके जा सकते हैं. फिर हमारे सरफेस ये ग्राउंड बेस्ड हैं, दे विल बी लॉन्चर्स होंगे, कई रेलवे वैगन्स पर हो सकते हैं, या बड़े बड़े ट्रक पर हो सकते हैं, मिसाइल्स हैं जो लॉन्च हो सकती हैं. एंड द थर्ड इज सबमरीन बेस्ड.
ओके.
दैट मीन्स सबमरीन के ऊपर न्यूक्लियर मिसाइल है, जो कि पनडुब्बी जो पानी के नीचे है, एंड इट कैन फायर अंडर वाटर.
ओके.
Now, the best part of this particular triad, the sea-based triad, is that it's very, very difficult to detect.
Okay.
जो हवाई जहाज हैं तो रेडार में पकड़ जा सकते हैं.
बिल्कुल.
जो लॉन्चर्स वगैरह हैं, सैटेलाइट्स वगैरह घूमते हैं, everybody knows where things are moving. Whereas जो sea-based है, the submarine, it comes out, it just dives down, and then goes into the sea. It's very difficult to detect a submarine underwater. And at any given time, it is patrolling this huge ocean. Nobody knows where it is. Enemy doesn't know where it is. So this becomes a very important part of our second strike capability. That means, अगर उन्होंने किसी ने first strike किया है, enemy ने first strike किया है nuclear से, we should have the capability to do the second strike. Their first strike should not destroy our second strike. Then we are finished.
Exactly.
Our nuclear doctrine says that our second strike capability has to be overwhelming. Our doctrine is very clear. No first use. पहली strike हम नहीं करेंगे.
Right.
पर जब करेंगे दूसरी strike, तो आप तो खत्म हो गए. You're finished. It will be overwhelming.
Right.
So that is possible only. It is possible through the submarine launched ballistic missiles which are underwater. वो बहुत मुश्किल है destroy करना. वो आपके शायद destroy कर दें ये aircraft शायद
कर सकते हैं. बिल्कुल.
submarine का बड़ा मुश्किल है. So this is a very important aspect of the Indian Navy's role to maintain sustenance of your second strike capability in the form of ballistic submarines.
India should be proud of.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And what we should really be proud of, actually, I'm sorry you were not asked the question, but what we should be really proud of is the fact that these submarines, जो नीचे हैं, SSB, they've been made in India.
That's amazing.
And the missile which is going to be fired is also हमारे देश की, हमने बनाई है.
Wow. That's
that
commendable.
is something which is really something to be proud of.
Right.
And it is one of the most technologically complex warship or any complex system to be made. I mean, a submarine deep down, able to move at a certain speed,
Right.
and able to fire a missile underwater, from underwater,
Right.
and hit a particular target.
That's amazing.
Incredibly complex
That's amazing.
piece of equipment, and all put together, integrated, and made by us, by India.
Bravo.
So this is
That's-
something which is very important.
yeah, very important.
Yeah.
I was हम बात कर रहे थे सर न्यूक्लियर वेपन की भी बीच में बात हुई जैसे न्यूक्लियर स्ट्राइक के बारे में पाकिस्तान कीप्स ऑन ब्लैबरिंग अबाउट कि हम ये कर देंगे हम वो कर देंगे वही जिसको हम न्यूक्लियर बोगी भी कह सकते हैं सो फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज कि हाउ आर दीज न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स स्टोर्ड क्योंकि हमने कहीं देखा था या जैसे जितनी नॉलेज हमें पता चलती है स्टोर्ड इन पीसेस if I'm not wrong.
Pieces means that
one part is somewhere.
No, basically warhead.
Okay.
Which is the business end
Ji.
of the missile. That is in one place.
Okay.
Projectile, that is the propulsion.
Right.
The rocket which is to take that warhead and drop it at a certain point, that is separate.
Separate.
So mating of the two
Right.
is done only when things go south.
Okay.
Really, jab bilkul hi, that's an end point.
Okay.
But normally, and they're separately done because nobody wants to take a chance with accidental explosion.
So that is why they are being
Go separate. And decision to do that is taken through a nuclear command authority, which has various people on it.
okay.
So it's not that one madman
a madman
takes a decision. And
the way it is happening
world
in,
goes into a
yeah, in Pakistan and they're just screaming about कि हम ऐसा कर
नहीं,
देंगे
वो see that again this nuclear blackmail प्रधानमंत्री ने भी जो बोला है बिल्कुल ठीक बोला है
बिल्कुल
कि उनकी जो ये न्यूक्लियर ब्लैकमेल है वो नहीं चलेगी
नहीं करो
चलेगी नहीं ये नहीं है कि आप टेररिस्ट अटैक करते रहें
और हम
भाई आप कुछ नहीं हमें कर सकते क्योंकि हमारे पास न्यूक्लियर
बिल्कुल
that is silly.
That is very silly.
I mean,
but the comments which their leaders are giving और जो terrorists को वो जो झंडों में लपेट कर they are, I mean, this is really ridiculous.
अच्छा,
on their part.
that of course,
So-
yes. I mean,
so-
their bluff has been called.
Actually, yeah.
And again, all this, whatever we have done, it has been very deliberate, with a lot of thought, and moreover, with a lot of responsibility.
Right. Lot of responsibility. Absolutely.
It is not
Very
it's-
beautifully
see, there are-
projected.
there are decisions which are taken through instinctive,
Right.
and there are decisions which are rational. Instinctive decisions are almost always go wrong.
Right.
Rational decisions are hard to take
Right.
because you have to consider so many factors. But then they are the ones which always, deliver results.
Right.
So we were little instinctive. Yeah, ye kar do, wo kar do. There were all kind of war games which are being held on the small screen on the TV. But India took a very rational decision. And we ensured that even after our strike, they struck back at our military airfields, and we struck back at their military airfields
Right.
in even a bigger manner. So idea was that we react, and we react, multiplied by 2, multiplied by 3, 2x, 3x, 4x, so that they know, yes, buddy, we know what we're doing, and we have the means and capability to finish you off.
Finish. Yeah.
Now that is called going up the escalatory ladder.
Right.
There's somebody who defined, that there are 44 rungs. But anyway, that's one of the few. But there are various rungs. You keep going up,
Right.
and God forbid you don't reach that end.
बिल्कुल.
Now, using a nuclear weapon is not something it's not a game.
बच्चों का खेल.
So it is something which is taken with
Right.
it's only when you have an existential crisis, I mean, as far as Pakistan is concerned,
Right.
that they cease to exist. That chalo, in any case, we are finished, so we have to use it.
So we have to use it.
So
Right.
it is something we call their bluff. So nuclear blackmail is not going to
Is
work.
no.
Quite simple.
Right. So what their bluff is not going to work. ये भी हम सबको पता है. We are watching them since long doing this. लेकिन उन लोगों को, पाकिस्तान को इतना कॉन्फिडेंस कहाँ से आता है ये सब करने का? मतलब कुछ भी नहीं है, बट स्टिल किसी भी लेवल में दे कैन नॉट कम्पीट विद अस, बट स्टिल दे आर ऑलवेज, क्या ऐसी चीज़ है विच इज़ जस्ट पुशिंग देम लाइक दिस कि नहीं, अगेन एंड अगेन दे आर रेडी टू फाइट कि हाँ नहीं ये हम कर देंगे, हम ऐसा कर देंगे, हम वैसा कर देंगे. What keeps their morale so up?
What you have been hearing, जो ये कर देंगे वो कर देंगे, that's what you've seen on the TV.
Right.
And these are the people who are in leadership positions who are talking. Obviously, they cannot come on the TV and say that, we are finished. I mean, that bluster, it's basically bluster without any backing. And ideas to keep the morale of the population high. हमने ये कर दिया, वो कर दिया. But more than that, I think most Pakistanis are aware that there are a lot of internal fault lines in that country.
बिल्कुल.
And those internal fault lines are rubbing against each other constantly. And just like you have an earthquake, when the plates move, something like that is possible.
Yes.
It's quite plausible. You have on one hand a semi sort of a military rule, where army dictates everything.
Right.
The present government is propped up by the government, by the army. They are not a popularly elected government. The most popular man in Pakistan is in the jail. Their party is outside, not knowing what to do. They have on their western front they have issues.
Right.
On the southern front, Balochistan, they have issues.
Balochistan yesterday.
I mean, these things are rubbing against each other constantly.
We were hearing the news of Balochistan yesterday, sir. So is it?
I really wouldn't know this, but it is something which they have been doing. I mean, there have been so many incidents where they have taken on the army.
So it might happen soon.
It could. That is one of the fault lines.
Right.
And so is very. It's ironical. So is Afghanistan. I mean, the Taliban was a creation of Pakistan.
Right.
And today they don't look at each other eye to eye. I mean, there is a problem there.
This is a problem that everybody.
And within that, the civil society. If you don't have a popularly elected government, you have elected somebody and then you put him in a jail. And then I think the very significant thing which took place in Pakistan was this uprising against the army. Last year when, I think last year sometimes, when they raided one of the army commanders' house and some army cantonment, there were a lot of upheaval and uproar.
But then...
and army lost its sheen at that time.
At that time.
And then with all these terrorist incidents by Balochistan, etc. happening, army is slowly, losing that luster.
Yes, a little we can see that.
And if army is holding everything together, and they are losing their own, that sense of invincibility.
Right. So things might, can go back anytime.
Yeah. And even this particular action which has happened, somebody will ask questions.
Right.
Look here, buddy, who ordered this?
Right.
Who did this? Why? What have we got into? Here we are trying to get an IMF loan. We are living on
loans, actually.
And you're going around the world with a begging bowl.
Right.
And now
just give us that missile, give us that.
And now we have to build up our armament.
Right.
All these things have been destroyed. Where are we going to get money from?
Right, exactly.
Whom are we going to go to when they're going to say, look here, first you pay me back that loan, then you talk about missiles.
But how, sir, I just wonder how the countries are also ready to give loan for this dahshatgardi.
That is again geopolitics. Again, China, as you know, wants to keep them under the
actually.
And they
Pakistan is like a crybaby for
China,
them.
it's a good investment. You look at it because it's keeping us busy on the our western front.
Right.
Now, countries like some western countries, even USA, has a little stake there. Turkey has this hangover of the Ottoman Empire, the Caliphate, who were the so-called, they were the, the keepers of the keys of the kingdom of entire Sunni Muslims. On the other hand, Saudi Arabia is now one of the major, I mean, as far as Sunni Muslims are concerned, they have Makkah, Medina. It also has its ambition to be the leader of the pack.
Right.
So between Turkey and Saudi Arabia, there's no love lost. In order to for Turkey to have some vassal states, I mean states, they can always say that look here, you are on our side. Pakistan is a very good choice, extremely good choice. Of course, they are co-religions, they are both Sunnis. More importantly, Pakistan has the bomb. And Turkey, of course, doesn't have it, part of NATO. But Turkey and Israel have a big issue.
Okay.
Now, the bomb which Pakistan has, if you remember, even during Bhutto's time when they started this whole nuclear program, it was called the Islamic bomb.
Okay, Islamic bomb.
At one point, even Saudi Arabia said that it is within our power to get that bomb. We can, Pakistan has it, we can get it. Now, Turkey is saying that we can also get it. Now, basically, Turkey is spreading its wings, wants to be the leader of the pack.
So Pakistan is a good choice for that.
Extremely good choice. And,
easy also.
Easy, yeah, because they are able to, and there could be some material issue also there. Turkey's defense industry is booming. The Ukraine-Russia war. Their drones, the major factory with Bakhtiar, which makes the drones, is owned by the president's son-in-law.
Okay.
And they are, in fact, that this factory is working around the clock, producing drones, both for Ukraine and for Pakistan. A whole lot of plane loads have come, I believe, reportedly, that they have come to Pakistan from the war. And they are minting money. So, Turkey has that also in the game, this particular monetary
own intentions,
aspect. Yeah, tourism, etc., will take a hit. But as long, and the president is not as popular as he was some years ago. He's also losing his popularity. But maybe he feels that with this kind of cooperation and this kind of having a vassal state here, he will be much better off next time. Basically, Turkey is over there.
Turkey is playing its own games.
Yeah, Azerbaijan, I told you. China, of course. Pakistan is their cat's paw.
Right. So yeah, this is the reason. तो सर, अगर वॉर होती है, अगर जंग होती है, तो क्या भारत इतना सशक्त है कि इस वॉर को फेस कर सके, और कितने दिनों तक, कितने समय तक हम इस वॉर को फेस कर सकते हैं? और अगर जंग होती है तो हमारी जो ग्रोथ स्टोरी है वो कितना पीछे चली जाएगी या नहीं जाएगी?
नहीं, देखिए, मैं अभी पहले बोल रहे थे कि ना कोई जंग बहुत अच्छा है
जी,
क्योंकि हम अपना ग्रोथ स्टोरी चल रही है, वी आर डूइंग वेरी वेल
जी।
पर अगर जंग नहीं होना है तो हमारी जो आर्म फोर्सेस हैं वो एटलीस्ट 3 to 4x हमारे जितने दुश्मन हैं उनसे ज्यादा होनी चाहिए, पावरफुल।
ओके।
और हमारे पास अभी इस वक्त वी आर डूइंग वेल इनफ टू सपोर्ट दैट।
राइट।
जो हमारे फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिजर्व्स हैं वही 650 करोड़ या 600 जो भी है, और जो हमारा अपने इंटरनल रेवेन्यूज वगैरह हैं, बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट है कि हम अपनी तीनों फोर्सेस, अपने आर्मी, नेवी और एयरफोर्स को एक दूसरे लेवल पर ले जाएं।
एब्सोल्युटली।
टेक्नोलॉजी अपग्रेड, बेटर वेपन सिस्टम्स, जो भी मिल सकता है। बेशक बाहर भी जाना पड़े, कोई बात नहीं।
राइट।
पर ये एक दूसरी कहानी भी है कि जो इस टाइम जो जंग हुआ है, जो विद इन द कंट्री जो हमने बनाया है, वो भी इस्तेमाल किया, तो वो भी हमारे पास हैं। और अगर हमने बिल्कुल कटिंग एज पर जाना है, जहाँ से भी हो सकता है, हम लेना चाहिए। और इतना आपने जो वर्ड यूज किया
सशक्त,
हाँ, इतना होना चाहिए कि जो दुश्मन है वो आपकी तरफ देख ही ना सके,
मतलब दांत खट्टे करवाने वाला हमारा,
और वो कर सकते हैं,
बिल्कुल
कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। और जो आप बोलते हैं कितने दिन लड़ सकते हैं, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं।
राइट।
हम दुश्मन से ज्यादा लंबा जो भी है, लंबे रेस के घोड़े हैं, जो छोटे वो मच मोर देन व्हाट दे कैन डू,
एब्सोल्युटली,
उसकी कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है।
राइट।
पर ये है कि ये जो भी टाइम है, हमारे पास वक्त है, अपने फौज को बिल्कुल तैनात रखें,
क्योंकि अभी सीज फायर ही हुआ है, अभी तो
सीज फायर हुआ है, और अभी जो भी हम
चीजें,
इक्विपमेंट अपग्रेड्स, टेक्नोलॉजी अपग्रेड्स, सब हमारे जो रक्षा मंत्री ने बोला है कि हमारे जो ऑर्डिनेंस फैक्ट्री है चल रही है 24/7, दे आर कमिंग आउट विद एमुनेशन, सो वो सब करते रहना चाहिए। डोंट लूज दैट एज,
एक्चुअली
our edge should be at least 3 to 4 times more.
Perfect.
And absolutely cutting edge technology, and आजकल possible है।
And India has shown that also.
बिल्कुल। और अभी जो वॉर हुआ है, वो ये जो वॉर ने जस्ट फ्लेयर अप, ये जो 3 चीजें बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण दिखती हैं अभी जो हुआ है। एक है इंटीग्रेटेड एयर डिफेंस, जो हमने किया है, दूसरे दिया, वी हैव गॉट आइटम्स सच एज S-400,
राइट,
सब कुछ, बट अपना भी है आकाश सिस्टम, और एयरफोर्स का है आकाश तीर। ये सब इंटीग्रेटेड एयर डिफेंस जो है वो बहुत ही मजबूत रही है,
स्ट्रॉन्ग, वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग।
दूसरा है जो बड़ी दूसरी चीज जो हमने देखी है वो है ड्रोन्स, कई तरह के ड्रोन्स, सब तरह के, और ये भी नई चीज है, नेचर ऑफ वॉरफेयर।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। और
आपको सुनकर हैरान होंगे कि आज हमारे प्राइवेट सेक्टर में जो ड्रोन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हो रही है,
राइट,
वो पहले कभी सुना भी नहीं था। बहुत नंबर ऑफ प्राइवेट सेक्टर फर्म्स आर प्रोड्यूसिंग ड्रोन्स ऑफ डिफरेंट टाइप्स विद इन द कंट्री। तो वो जो है उसको भी रैप अप करना है और अपग्रेड करना है, और डिफरेंट टाइप सर्वेलेंस ड्रोन्स है, कॉम्बैट ड्रोन्स, तो ड्रोन्स का बहुत। दूसरा है तीसरी चीज जो हमने देखी है अभी सिंदूर में, वो है स्टैंड ऑफ मिसाइल्स एंड बॉम्ब्स। जो हमारे हवाई जहाज थे, सीज फायर अपने LOC के इस तरफ और IB के इस तरफ रहकर, अपनी तरफ रहकर स्टैंड ऑफ डिस्टेंस पर उन्होंने फायर किया था। और सबसे जो मिसाइल जिसका भी सब नाम अभी ऊपर हो गया, वो है ब्रह्मोस जी। और ब्रह्मोस हम नहीं बनाई है, रशिया और इंडिया ने इकट्ठे होकर ब्रह्मोस बनाई है। और ब्रह्मोस जो है हर एक जहाज पर है, नेवी के हर एक जहाज पर ब्रह्मोस है आजकल, फ्रंटलाइन शिप्स के। तो ये जो 3-4 चीजें हुई हैं, ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण,
बहुत महत्वपूर्ण, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट।
हाँ, और इनको हम
एंड वेरी एम्पावरिंग एज वेल फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस।
एम्पावरिंग। हमारे अभी सेकंड रंग पर तो अभी आए नहीं थे हम, जहाँ पर बूट्स ऑन द ग्राउंड, राइट, हमारी फौज अंदर नहीं गई बिल्कुल भी, हमारी फौज तैनात है, राइट, पर आगे नहीं गई दुश्मन के टेरिटरी में, बिल्कुल नहीं गई। हमारे जो जहाज हैं नेवी के, वो कराची के इस तरह खड़े हुए हैं, कुछ फायर नहीं किया, कुछ नहीं किया, पर the gun turrets are rotating, waiting for you to start. I mean, they can fire, anytime. The missiles are ready. They are, open canisters. I mean, so they are.
That's very. That's so good to see India at this position.
We have not gone to the entire extent. अभी जो हमने किया है, only to a certain ladder. We had only gone to a certain extent. अभी तो कुछ देखा नहीं है दुश्मन ने. I think it was. I don't know who said it, that this is only a trailer. So the whole thing is yet to happen. So we are.
Now they are also they are just showing that we are preparing for war, ceasefire हुआ या जो भी हुआ, but now we are preparing for bigger things and etc. The way they always keep blah-blahing, but obviously.
See, $4 billion of foreign exchange reserves. $1 billion just come in as a IMF tranche recently.
तो obviously they are going
It's a difficult, of course, they will get a lot of largesse. लोग ऐसे ही मुफ्त की काफी चीजें आ जाएंगी, but मुफ्त की चीजें मुफ्त ही होती है.
right.
Chinese goods, as they say.
Absolutely.
Other day I saw this little thing, Chinese goods, no warranty, no guarantee, no return, labor charges extra. So, we just, they are not going to, if the things really go to a certain extent,
Yes.
some countries may give them something which is,
right.
cutting edge. But
यही
then,
मैं पूछने वाली थी सर कि if अगर जंग होती है on a major level, तो countries भी आएंगी support के लिए उनके
see,
and
nobody
things
wants a nuclear power
Right.
to go under.
right.
Pakistan is a nuclear power. They don't want it to go under. It can create a big upheaval, not only, for us, but the whole world.
Yes, absolutely.
The world cannot afford a nuclear exchange.
Right.
It'll, result in, they are saying about 2 to 3 degrees reduction in overall temperature throughout the world with major famines and all that. There's sort of an ice
The
age.
after effects are too much.
So after effects will affect the whole world.
Yes,
So
yes.
the world is very clear that we are not going to let that happen.
Right.
And as I said, it's a nuclear blackmail. It's not that they can use it. So that much is quite clear.
So do you think that Donald Trump, like America, is playing a manipulative role, or is it really supporting us?
See, one is I feel even Donald Trump doesn't know what he's doing.
Actually.
But I think there may be some method in his madness.
Okay.
Few things which he's doing are yielding results. As far as tariff, immigration, etc. Economy is doing well, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
But overall, he's a deal maker.
And what we have seen in the past.
And he would like to, what he feels that he should be doing is making deals in all these hotspots in the world, tamp down everything. Iran, Ukraine, now India and Pakistan, he's doing that. And Israel, Gaza.
That is what his job
is. So he's basically, he says anything is possible. I don't think there's any ideological tilt in his thinking.
Right.
No.
Nothing.
If you can make a deal, you make a deal. Here he's talking of having effected the ceasefire. I offered trade. Trade is a beautiful word. It can do so many things. Trade is lovely. But the after effects, the result of what he says, that he doesn't really bother about.
Right, he is not. Right.
But as far as we are concerned, we are a sovereign nation. We know what we are doing. And we will have to, unfortunately, educate the people, if not him, people around him.
Right.
So that slowly, he knows. And I'm sure he'll come around.
Yeah.
There is no, because we also have a certain standing.
Absolutely.
We have also certain to offer to this world.
Absolutely.
We are just not ara-gara who can be taken charge of.
Right.
And we are moving in that direction. We are, there is no need to shout from the rooftops and say, sorry, we don't agree with you, we don't do this. These things are best done unheard, unseen, behind the curtain.
Right.
And it's a very good idea. Today I read that government is, I think, sending MPs from different parties to different parts of the world to educate them on what we did, what Pakistan is all about.
That's very important, actually.
Yes. Because what the world sees, what the world sees is these two nuclear powers just fighting, and they don't know what. They have no time.
Right.
And so does Donald Trump. He just looks at it that way. So I think
but that's a very good step.
Yes, and we are sending it to all the different regions.
Right.
And that will yield results.
Definitely.
And it's a long-term thing. We are going to the United States, UN Security Council to put these guys on the terrorist list. So this is also going to happen now.
So we're waiting for that.
These are steps which are
being
they're all professionals.
Actually,
EM,
very
and the
rationally.
External Affairs Ministry. They are going to do these things. All of it. It's all the whole of the nation approach towards ensuring that India comes up trumps.
So when nation was in the mood कि a complete jaw for a tooth, उस समय पर युद्ध विराम लगाना was a correct decision or no? उस समय क्या ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि हमारी जो आर्मी है उसका मोरल डाउन हुआ, या फिर इस चीज का असर हमारे मनोस्थिति पर भी पड़ेगा?
See, one of the principles of war is a very clear and consistent aim.
Right.
Before you go in for any kind of battle or war, your aim has to be enunciated very clearly. And everybody down the line should know it.
Right.
And I think the Prime Minister had very clearly enunciated it, that our aim is to destroy the hub of terrorism.
Right.
He did not even once mention the word Pakistan. Not once.
Right.
It just happens that these hubs of terrorism are based in Pakistan. And the state is sponsoring them.
Right.
Equipping them and sending them to our side. So the aim was to destroy them.
Right.
Which India did. The very first day.
Right.
And after they were destroyed, एक statement आई थी फिर उसके बाद that we have done our job.
Right. We
have destroyed 1 to 9
nine areas,
across the LOC and the IB.
Right.
Our job is done. But the enemy chose to retaliate. Now, we had a very clear aim of destroying terrorist hubs.
Right.
Now, what was their aim? We don't have any terror hubs.
Right.
So they went and started pounding our airfields and military installations.
Actually.
So we said, fine, buddy, you have done it. We can do one better. So we went up the ladder, one step higher, and we pounded their airfields.
Right.
And that was a very, very deadly strike. I think that was the 10th of May.
10th of May, yes.
And we did that. So our aim was achieved.
Aim is clear.
Now, moving the goalposts is the worst part of any plan or any battle or any operation.
Correct.
The moment you start moving the goalposts, you will not be able to achieve your objectives.
Correct.
And number of countries have done this, have gone, headlong into wars, Iraq, Afghanistan, this, that, and the other,
and
didn't know how to get out.
Right.
Because they didn't know,
actually,
have we done anything? Have we achieved our objective, or is it going to keep changing? So I think we did what we had to do.
Right.
We showed the world that we said we would do it, and we did it. And that's it.
So if it escalates,
but if they retaliate, do something more, we are going to give them hard.
Then can
2x,
POK,
3x, we are going to give it.
POK also can be a goalpost? No.
POK wasn't
Was
had
it
anything
ever?
to do with the. I mean, they had terrorist hubs there, but though we have mentioned there's a parliamentary resolution that one day we will, POK is part and parcel, which is true of our country, and one day we will take it. But not now. This is not the objective now.
Right.
We may do it. We'll do it some point or the other. It'll happen.
Right.
We don't know when and how. That's its own story.
Okay. That's a different story from the war. Right. So now if war escalates, number one question was that is Bharat sashakt? वो हमें जवाब मिल गया है. Bharat is much more sashakt than whatever we are thinking at our homes.
Right.
घर में बैठकर जो हम सोच रहे हैं उससे कहीं ज़्यादा.
Or we have the ways and means to make it even more powerful.
So there is nothing to be scared.
Nothing to be scared. Man behind the gun, the man behind the machine, the man in the aircraft, the man in the tank, the warship, wherever he is. Absolutely well trained. He's a professional.
Right.
He's fighting for his country. And he knows how to do it.
Perfect. सर जो हमारे मिसाइल्स होते हैं जो हम यूज करते हैं वॉर में उनका रेंज क्या रहता है?
See, there are different missiles for different purposes.
Okay.
Like they say, horses for courses.
Right.
You have missiles which are short range, for instance, surface to air missile.
Right.
में कोई aircraft आ रहा है या उसको करना है, तो that will say 10 to 12 kilometers. Right. Then you'll have surface to surface. यहाँ से कहीं पर और मारना है. BrahMos जो है.
Right.
I mean, it was pegged at 290 kilometers because of some reasons. Now it has gone much beyond that.
Okay.
So different missiles have different purpose.
Okay.
And depending on that requirement, you fix the range.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So there's not.
And then they are air launched.
Okay.
There are ground launched. There are sea launched. So launched in different. Air launched missile cannot be too big.
Right.
The payload becomes too heavy
Okay.
for the aircraft. The range reduces. So accordingly, if the missile is smaller, the range may be less. So it all depends on.
And so now
purpose.
we have laser-oriented weapons also.
Yeah, there are
a lot.
Yeah, which is short range, but there are electro-optics, laser guided. There are laser guided bombs.
Okay.
They came many years back.
Okay.
You point the laser and the bomb goes on that sort of trajectory.
Okay.
So laser guided have been there for a while.
Okay. Since long. All right. Thank you so much, sir, for coming here, and thank you for such a wonderful information. And lastly, I would just say that Jai Hind, sir.
Thank you. I hope I pitched it at the right level. You know, this can become highly technical.
Yes.
And I hope the target audience is able to gather whatever I have mentioned. But I would be very happy if it, sort of spurs them to read further on this.
True.
It's important for youngsters to know more about their country and the country around us.
Yes, actually. यंगस्टर्स के लिए सर एक सवाल मुझे याद आ रहा है कि नेवी में अगर if they want to join this, so what kind of exam they have to go through?
There are various entries.
Okay.
Both at the level of below officer rank.
Okay.
And at officer rank.
Okay.
Depending on your education qualification. You can for officer rank there are mainstream entries such as National Defense Academy.
Right.
Basically, there is a combined defense examination for all three.
All three.
You can join NDA, you can join Naval Academy.
Okay.
So that is there. And you have to go through, after written exam, there is a services selection board.
Right.
There's a merit list. And then accordingly you join.
Okay. So it's
then there is below officer rank, there are recruitment boards. You apply for that and then you join another establishment.
Okay.
It's called INS Chilka.
Okay.
And you have basic training there. Then you go on to different. Actually, by the way, I must bring out, this is very unique to the Navy amongst the three services. Sorry, I'm taking a little bit of time. There are two things very unique.
Yes, we would love to know.
Navy is highly technical in its approach. Equipment is quite complex. So almost every man below officer rank and above officer rank needs some technical expertise.
Right.
Nowadays, all our officers are B.Tech. All officers. So that is one thing which is unique.
Yes.
Whether you're from different branches, executive, whatever branches are there, everybody is B.Tech. The second unique thing which I wanted to mention, I think it got lost in all this, was the indigenous capability of the Indian Navy. Indian Navy overwhelmingly produces their own ships in our country, in our shipyards. All our ships. Presently, I think we have almost 65 ships under construction.
Okay.
In our naval shipyard, our shipyards, Indian shipyards.
Right.
Probably only one is being constructed outside.
Okay.
But all the ships are being constructed here. And it's been happening for a while. This is, we are highly, our approach towards our equipment is that first see whether we can do it ourselves, then you go out.
Then you go out.
But Everything. Most of our ships, frontline ships, destroyers, frigates, aircraft carrier. You know, Vikrant has been commissioned.
Right.
Almost 70% by value is indigenous, including steel, guns, missiles.
Wow.
Propulsion plant is still a problem. We certainly will, one day we'll make it. But almost everything is indigenous. So this is something.
So made in India.
Made in India, Atmanirbhar.
concept
I mean, this is something I think we should be proud of as a nation.
Right.
That our Navy has made huge strides in indigenous capability. So these are two things I thought I'd
No. Thank you, sir. Thank you. It was knowledgeable.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, sir.
And
Thank you.
excellent questions.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you for coming here.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.